Around 2600 BC, Egypt entered the Old Kingdom, the first great age of the legendary pharaohs. Inside the magnificent palace of Memphis, amid the echoes of bronze drums and the fragrance of incense drifting through the temples, Pharaoh Khufu, son of the sun god Ra, looked westward across the Nile, toward the endless Giza desert lying silent under the scorching sun. He issued an order that would etch his name into eternity, to build a tomb that reached toward the heavens, so his soul could ascend into the eternal realm of the gods. On the arid western bank of the Nile, Pharaoh Khufu and his priests chose a sacred site, elevated near the river and aligned precisely to the north. It was Giza, the land where the sun sets each day, symbolizing the world of the dead, where the pharaoh's soul would begin its journey to eternity. The priests observed the stars for countless nights, using the sun's shadow to determine the true cardinal directions, ensuring that the four sides of the pyramid aligned almost perfectly with the four corners of the earth. From the very first mornings, the construction gathered between 20,000 and 30,000 people, not merely slaves, but free workers, farmers, and craftsmen called up during the flood season, when the Nile overflowed and the farmlands lay underwater. They came from every corner of Egypt, divided into small crews known as pyramid teams, and lived in villages built around the construction site. There, they were supplied with bread, beer, meat, and garlic, foods that gave them strength and endurance under the brutal desert heat. The work began with the selection of the stones, the material of immortality. Thousands of quarry workers labored near the Nile, where massive limestone blocks were cut loose with copper chisels and stone hammers. Wooden wedges were driven into cracks, then soaked with water so they would expand and split the rock free from the mother bed. Each block, weighing from 2 to 15 tons, was marked and prepared for the greatest transport operation in history. As the sun rose, the great caravans began to move. The workers placed the massive stones on wooden sledges, pulling them with thick ropes, while others poured water on the sand in front of the runners to reduce friction, a simple but ingenious technique that made tons of stone glide more easily. Along the Nile's banks, hundreds of large wooden boats waited to ferry the blocks from the quarries to Giza. When the river swelled, the boats drifted smoothly toward the site, carrying the stones to the foot of the future pyramid. At the construction site, thousands were divided into specialized teams: surveyors, ground levelers, stone layers, and inspectors. The surveyors aligned each corner using flax ropes, copper rods, and ceramic water levels, ensuring every block fit with flawless precision. As the lower tiers were completed, they began to build massive earthen ramps, sloping roads rising toward the upper levels. Along these ramps, hundreds of men hauled the stones upward, their chants echoing across the desert. Day after day, millions of blocks were set in place, joined together by the skill, intuition, and perseverance of humankind. There were no machines, no iron tools, only hands, minds, and unwavering faith. المصري البناؤون نروا they were not merely constructing a tomb, but raising a gateway for the soul, a passage from earth to eternity. Beneath the scorching sun of the Giza Desert, tens of thousands of workers toil day and night. Yet behind the massive stones and the grandeur of the monument lay another world, the world of ordinary people, where they ate, drank, sang, and dreamed of their families along the Nile River. Contrary to the old legends that claim the pyramids were built by enslaved laborers under cruel treatment, modern archaeology has revealed something very different: a community of skilled craftsmen who were respected and well cared for. They lived in mud brick dormitories near the construction site. Each area was divided into smaller crews, the pyramid teams, each consisting of a few hundred workers, overseen by foremen, cooks, priests, and even healers. Every day, as the first rays of sunlight touched the desert, the beat of bronze drums signaled the start of the work shift. Hundreds gathered for a simple yet energy-packed breakfast. Baked barley bread, onions, garlic, and salted beef, sometimes even dried fish from the Nile. Their most important drink wasn't water, but light barley beer, thick, mildly alcoholic, and specially brewed for the workers. It not only refreshed them, but also provided essential calories to endure the brutal desert heat. Caravans brought water from the Nile to the site each day. In large clay jars, the water was mixed with herbs like mint or sweetgrass to keep it cool. Each pyramid crew had workers assigned to distribute water and beer, ensuring no one collapsed from exhaustion. Every few hours, the teams rested briefly to drink, shield themselves from the sun, and rewrap the cloth around their heads to prevent burns. At midday, the atmosphere came alive. Hundreds of workers gathered under wide cloth awnings, eating, laughing, and sharing stories as the desert wind blew past. Their laughter echoed like a hymn of endurance. Some told tales of their hometowns. Others sang songs praising Ra, the god who granted them light and strength. In the evenings, when work ceased, the priests lit torches around the site and prayed for the god's protection over the construction. They called each other by name and carved their team symbols onto the stones, a quiet declaration: "We were here." Amid the hardships of the desert, they felt pride in serving Pharaoh, in knowing their hands were shaping eternity. Modern excavations at Giza confirm this truth. The small tombs near the Great Pyramid belong not to slaves, but to the workers themselves. They were buried with their tools and food offerings, honored as heroes who helped build one of the world's greatest wonders. As the pyramid rose to dizzying heights, the ramps extended upward, spiraling around the massive structure like an enormous earthen serpent. The higher they climbed, the stronger the winds blew, the fiercer the sun burned. Yet the workers persevered. Each limestone block was polished and fitted so precisely that not even a blade could slip between them. At the summit, the final stone, the Ben-Ben, symbol of the sun god Ra's first ray of light, was set in place. And at that moment, the Great Pyramid stood complete, a mountain of stone reaching toward the heavens, blazing in the radiant sunlight of ancient Egypt. After more than 20 years of relentless labor beneath the blazing sun and sweeping sands of the desert, Pharaoh Khufu's Great Pyramid finally began to take shape. What had once been a mountain of rough, uncut stone now stood as a colossal man-made peak, reaching high into the Egyptian sky. Outside, thousands of stonemasons meticulously polished each layer of white limestone casing. Under the sun, the gleaming surface reflected light so intensely that ancient observers said, "When the sun rises, the pyramid shines like a star fallen to earth." Every corner was aligned with near-perfect precision, so exact that modern scientists still marvel that the deviation measures only a few millimeters, a feat far beyond the known technology of its time. At the base, artisans carved hieroglyphic walls depicting Pharaoh Khufu's divine journey, from his birth and selection by the god Ra to his passage into the afterlife. Using copper tools, fine stone, and natural pigments, they etched and painted each scene into the great blocks. Along the ceremonial causeway, majestic figures of Anubis, Horus, and Isis watched over the pharaoh's soul, guardians of his eternal voyage. If the exterior symbolized light and power, the interior of the pyramid was a world of silence and sacred darkness. Only the chosen few, architects, priests, and the final sculptors could enter. When the heavy stone gates slid shut, the inside revealed a labyrinth of passageways. A narrow descending corridor led to the subterranean chamber, carved deep into the bedrock, representing the underworld. From there, a steep incline rose to the grand gallery, a tall, narrow corridor whose massive stones formed a natural-looking vault, the pathway along which the pharaoh's spirit would ascend to the heavens. At the end of this passage lay the king's chamber, hidden within the pyramid's core. Built entirely of red granite from Aswan, transported hundreds of kilometers away, it was a marvel of ancient engineering. In its center stood a massive sarcophagus of solid stone, the final resting place for Pharaoh Khufu after his embalming rites. Around the chamber, carved stars and hieroglyphic inscriptions offered blessings. May you live forever with Ra on the eternal path of light. Above the king's chamber, the ancient engineers left 5 secret relieving chambers, empty spaces designed to distribute the weight of thousands of tons of stone above. This ingenious structural design, centuries ahead of its time, is what has allowed the Great Pyramid to endure for more than 4,500 years, surviving earthquakes, erosion, and the march of time itself. There was also the Queen's Chamber, smaller and located lower within the structure, facing south. It held offerings and statues representing the pharaoh's soul. From this chamber, 2 narrow air shafts extended outward toward the stars, believed to be pathways through which the pharaoh's spirit could ascend to join Ra in the heavens. These corridors were not merely physical. They symbolized the spiritual journey from darkness to light, from death to immortality. As the sun set over the Giza Plateau, its final rays brushed the tip of the Great Pyramid, the sacred point where the ancient Egyptians believed Ra, the creator and sun god, illuminated the world. They believed Pharaoh's soul rose with that light, traveling eternally across the sky. Thus, the Great Pyramid was not merely a monument of stone and sand. It was a prayer in architecture, a testament to humanity's unshakable faith that as long as the sun continues to rise, the light of mankind will never fade.